Hello, beautiful people! Welcome to the first episode of the Conscious Hotline, your source for all things conscious and hot. I'll be joined today by my incredible friend and co-host, Altaire Cambata, and we are going to be discussing dreaming, what it's like to lose it all and gain it all, and why death is not the end. So, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you. And I am just excited to get into it with my lovely, lovely, lovely friend. Hello, beautiful woman.
Hello.
Hi.
Are we live?
We are live. We are alive and well.
Yes, we are. You look gorgeous.
Thank you. I'm just a reflection of you, darling. It's so good to see you.
I love it. This is so exciting. Here we are. We had this idea precisely 1 week ago, and here we are.
Things moving. The seed was planted months ago, but I'm so grateful to have you here. I was telling the viewers that, it's their source for all things conscious and hot. And I'm just excited to get in with you today about, daydreaming and losing it all and gaining it all and how death is not the end. So thanks for being here. You are magnificent.
Hey, let's do this. First episode. What is up?
Yay! I'm high. Or my blazer,
You look, I think I'm the heart eye emoji right now. You look stunning. You look gorgeous, bringing the energy, bringing the light. That's what this is all about.
That's what we're doing. We're spreading consciousness, we're spreading love, and we're fucking being hot doing it.
Hot!
So, darling woman, I want to start off today by sharing with our beloved listeners what's something you don't want anyone to know about you.
Oh, dang! I knew you were going to hit me with a tough one. I knew you weren't going to let me off easy.
Yeah, that's
Come on. I don't want anyone to know about me. What? Yeah, that I got athlete's foot from the Muay Thai gym.
She's contagious, everyone. You hear that?
I'm treating it. As an herbalist, I am equipped to deal with this. It wasn't something I foresaw. It's not something I've dealt with before, but I am handling it. And it is it's on its way out. So
yeah.
You all know.
Humbled. Yeah, we've all got fungus.
At least I'm going to the gym, right?
Yeah, especially during a pandemic. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. Yeah. So
we're getting away with a little bit more here in Switzerland.
Well, because y'all just have it going on. I know. Everyone's been like, oh, she's in Switzerland. How fabulous. And I'm like, this is an international hotline, okay?
Worldwide.
Europe, North America, Southeast Asia, wherever. It's for everybody. So I want to tap into, the essence of what it means to be a daydreamer, because that is something that I think you embody so beautifully and gracefully and with such ease. And just to quantify that for me.
Okay, love it. Well, you said quantify. Do you want a real life example of how a daydream turned into an epic story of me manifesting the exact thing that I wanted in less than a month?
Amen. Yes, please.
Yes. Should we go there?
Amen.
Shall we go there? Because the important thing to know is that everything that existed first in the dream realm.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we experience in our daily physical reality existed first in the dream time, in the astral, in the imagination. Sometimes we think we have ideas and act on them. A lot of the time, those ideas are just divine, inspiring messages that resonate with our particular energetic transmission, our particular energetic blueprint. We think we're dreaming the dream is dreaming us. So
it's dream first, self second almost. It's like the dream is the fuel and the power, and the person is, when open and awake and alive to it, experiencing that download.
Yes, that's right. You know that hilarious story about Michael Jackson and Prince, and Michael Jackson would wake up at 3 a.m. and call his producer and say, we need to go to the recording studio right now. I have this idea and I got to get it out. I got to get it out right now. And his manager was like, come on, Michael, like, can it wait till tomorrow? And he's like, no, if I don't put it down on paper tonight, Prince is going to do it tomorrow. He was convinced that they were channeling the same messages, the same inspiration.
Which makes you think about their artistry and what they brought to the world and who they were as individuals.
Right. Yeah.
I love that.
I love that example. I love that. I think it's fascinating. I think it's true. And I think that it is so important to spend time in the dream realm, because this is where we start to play with the idea of bringing it into existence. And in that playground of the imagination, in that experimentation, imaginarium laboratory of the psyche, that's where we can start trying things on and seeing how they fit and how they feel. And then we get to decide if we want to roll with it, if we want to embody it.
Yeah, and I think another thing that you said that I really love is that sometimes it sounds crazy, right? Sometimes the dream is like, can it wait? That's unrealistic. That's not convenient. That doesn't fit into the paradigm. And it's like, and that's exactly what makes it a divine download. If it fits into my little box, well, then that's not super divine. That's not directly guided from spirit, because spirit's going to push me. Because spirit's going to push me beyond what I think is normal or achievable or easy or convenient or done already, right? And so he's like, I've got this idea. I've got to do it before someone else. And I know that it's unique and different. It has to be done now because I'm tapped in, tuned in, listening, paying attention.
Hell yes. And that crazy little voice for those of us who have been foolhardy and courageous enough to listen and actually act on that voice. How often does it lead to some incredible outcome? For me, 100% of the time, I am so glad that I recognize that voice now when I hear it.
And what did it used to sound like before you could honor it or know what it was? Like in times where you maybe missed it, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, then I think that's just when self-doubt comes up immediately. That's our tendency to squish the risk, to squish the dream before it's even allowed to bloom or blossom. What's that amazing poem, A Dream Deferred, right? A Dream Deferred, where he says, you know, the dream that rots away. It's that dream that it's an incredible poem, but basically, you know, just the tragedy of letting a dream fester and rot because we don't feel worthy of it, because it's only available to someone else.
The stories we make up about what we can achieve and be limit our dreams. I remember being an 8th grade English teacher in a really low income community in Southern Colorado. And I would ask my students, you know, what's your dream? They're 8th graders, you know, they're about to go to high school. What's your dream? And they'd say, dreams are for when you're sleeping. And that for me was like, you know, that was my experience of what it means to have poverty of the mind. If dreams are for when you're sleeping, then how can you possibly be awake in the world? Because dreams are for when my eyes are open. I'm living a dream right now with you. You know, we dreamed up an idea and here we are executing on it. And it's so soul fulfilling. I feel warm. I feel excited. I feel energized. I feel love and connection. And, you know, if dreams are for when you're sleeping, then what are you doing when you're awake? How are you feeling when you're awake?
No. I actually make sure that for some portion of my day, I am actively daydreaming about something new that I want to bring into the world, or something that I've had my hands in the clay of it for a while, and I want to get that much more specific about what it feels like to be with it, to experience it, how it feels in my body. You know, in terms of this example, I feel like I can share as like to illustrate the power of daydreaming, right? At the beginning of COVID, I knew that I was not going to be able to do one of my very favorite things for maybe a whole year, and that's travel. You know, I'm usually here, there, all over the place. I mean, we've met up in New York, you know, we're in Boulder, Colorado, we're in Aspen, you know, we're heading all over.
And in Santa Barbara, it's all the things, all the places, and abroad. I mean,
Yeah, that's your bliss state. I'm a wanderluster too. You know, I can relate, girl.
Yes, I know you can, you know, and that's the diversity, the stimulation, the flavor of what it is to be human and alive is something that we get to consume in the experience of travel. And I missed that. I knew I was going to miss that. So I thought, what's a workaround? Well, you know, if I had a motorcycle, then at least I could travel locally and it would feel exciting. And it's something I've kind of always wanted to do. And I thought, well, why not? Now's the time. I have my feet planted in the earth here. I've been here for a year. I'll probably end up being here for a couple more years at least.
I love that. That's feet planted in the ground. We're like, 1 year, I'm blossoming. I have flowers growing off of my tree. Fruit has been, you know, other people are like, a year, I just got here. And we're like, a year, I'm the mayor.
Right. Yeah. Right. So feeling good, feeling groovy, feeling planted. And so I just started daydreaming about having a motorcycle. What would that feel like? How hot would it fucking feel for me to take off my helmet and be like, you know, like, what?
Oh my gosh. Like, you don't even smoke cigarettes, but it's just like, get off your bike and just go, you know? Yeah, exactly. Air smoke next to your bike in front of a bar. I'm here for it. I am here for it.
Baby, I'm taking you for a ride. You know that.
I can't wait. Switzerland 2020, here I come. Yeah. And what I love about that you basically, you know, it goes back to like the concept of creating heaven on earth, you know, not to get too biblical, but you know, we're both deeply spiritual women. And, you know, you're like, okay, one of the things that brings me bliss in this world is travel. Given the global pandemic, that's not responsible or available to me. So how can I create heaven on earth? How can I create my bliss in my everyday, right? And so it used to be travel on a 16-hour plane ride across the country, and now it's 65 kilometers an hour. I guess maybe hopefully more for you.
I love you.
It is. You know, and you're creating that same bliss state, but in a localized way.
Exactly. This is like literally the vehicle for my bliss and my freedom and that feeling of like the wind on my skin, of the taking turns, you know, at a clip, just the excitement of that low maintenance lifestyle of just getting on your bike and going to the ocean or going to the mountains or wherever it was. And I started daydreaming about this, knowing I don't know how I'm going to even learn how to ride a bike. I don't own a bike. I'm in a country, I'm in Switzerland. I don't even know what the laws are, like how you get started.
Do you have a Swiss license?
I do have a Swiss driver's license.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But here, I mean, this is like, so the Swiss style is very much like you fill out this form and you take it to this place and then you fill out that form, but you had to have filled out the other form before you take back the other form. And then you pay this much and you pay this much and you pay this much and then finally it's done. Okay. But so I was like, I don't even know, like getting into the, you know, the spaghetti, this tangled mess of like all of these different bureaucratic processes I'm probably going to have to participate in to get the license. But I would just daydream about it. I wasn't even trying to find the bike. I wasn't trying to find the lessons. I was just daydreaming. And every once in a while, someone would come forward and say, hey, Altaire, I think you should call this person. He gives motorcycle lessons near here, and he's doing like a super cheap deal. I had another person tell me, you know, you got to do it right now because the process is going to get more complicated in the next couple of months. So really, like, now's the time. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go, I do some lessons. I'm like, okay, it's everything that I had hoped and dreamed. It feels amazing on the bike. And I'm still thinking, like, I don't know anything about motorcycles. I don't know which one to buy. I don't know which one is the right one. I don't know jack shit about engine size. I mean, I'm like such a fucking noob. This really is. Can we swear on Instagram? Is it okay?
I've sworn we've both said the F-bomb a couple times. I'm like, we'll see. I was realizing that. I was like, well, we're not on HBO yet.
We're cute.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yes. Yes. So then I didn't know which bike to get. I'm like looking online. I see one that I kind of like, and I'm like, that's the one. I'm pretty sure that's the one, right? And it was a Ducati Scrambler, and I thought that's the one.
Ducati.
I don't know anything about it, but it. And then a friend of mine says, "Hey, Altaire, someone's selling a bike in my apartment complex. You should come and take a look at it." I took a look at it. It was like way old, way too slow, but it was bright yellow. And I was like, I like the yellow. Yellow's good. And then the next day, one of my best friends in the States sent me a picture saying, "Hey, Altaire, I just got a bike, and I wanted to show you a picture of it. And it's this yellow bike." And I was like, I turned to my friend. I was like, I think my bike's going to be yellow. I just have the sense that my bike's going to be yellow.
Well, and that's the color of
The
gold,
next
baby, and that
day-
is you are golden.
Yeah, you know, like look out for Killer Queen. That's what I called her. So the very next day after that, I went onto the Swiss website for used motorbikes, and there's a yellow Ducati Scrambler. It's not in Bern. It's not in Zurich. It's right here in Lugano, where I live. It's an excellent price. That exact amount had just landed in my bank account as the result of like some
The exact same numbers.
exact same number.
That's how it
And
works.
I met the guy. He's a life coach, just like me. Rode the bike, perfect. And now I have this motorcycle, and I rode it last night, and I'm gonna ride it tonight. I'm practicing. I'm learning. But can you see how that took like zero effort from me? That was just waiting for the right people to tell me the right thing at the right time. This image got planted in my psyche of this yellow Ducati Scrambler. That was a co-creation with the universe, who was helping me come into alignment with what it was that I really wanted. And so here we are. So, you know, and it wouldn't have happened. I know it would not have happened unless when I was driving around in my car, I hadn't have been listening to the Kill Bill soundtrack, imagining Uma Thurman on her yellow motorbike in downtown Tokyo. That's how it happened.
And you are that. And I love that you said it took no effort, but it did take paying attention, because that's what you did. So it's like this workshop I used to teach, we said awareness without action is bullshit. So you had an awareness, you had a vision, you allowed it to unfold, right? It wasn't like this, I need this, I got to make it happen. It was like, okay, I see this, I'm holding space for it, and I'm holding space for miracles, and then they can come. It reminds me of the sand, grabbing the sand, you know, like when we say we want something and we grab it, and we grab sand and we squeeze it so hard, we want it so badly, and what happens? The sand slips through our fingers. Versus when we just grab sand and we hold it with an open palm, miracles can fall into our laps, into our hands. We're alive, we're in tune. And it was your community. You know, your community showed up for that dream too, without even intentionally, right? They weren't like, we're going to help Altaire do this thing. It was just like, energetically, that was your vibration. And then the community matched your vibration, and it manifested itself. And I think that's super beautiful. So it looks like Altaire is paused, but I'm trusting that she will come back into the sphere. Sometimes cross-continental Instagram lives can have these sorts of hiccups, but we're holding space for it. And if you don't know, you know, Altaire is an absolutely incredible life coach. She does past life regression specializing. She is so much about the natural environment and how it can come into your sphere and come into your world and support you in manifesting and creating all of your dreams. So she is a manifestation expert. She has so many skills, talents, dreams, and it's just been so juicy to talk to her about how do you do that thing, right? Because people see amazing lives and they think, oh, that's for someone else, that's for later, that's for another time. But in reality, there's no difference between you and anyone that you admire. It's just listening, getting clear, and then creating. And a lot of times, like what Altaire was saying, the creation process comes in allowing things to unfold. So it's not a matter of like, I need to have this plan and I need to execute this and this and this. That can help for sure. I'm a professional organizer. I love You know, I always say failing to plan is planning to fail. But also, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan, right? So it's this dichotomy of like, I'm holding space for miracles. I'm open. I'm allowing myself to receive whatever I'm supposed to receive. And also, I am open and awake and aware to the great mystery and letting that unfold, because the great mystery really at the end of the day is exactly that. It's a mystery. And I found so often in dreaming that when we have a dream, it can just manifest itself. Like you'll wake up and be like, wow, this was my dream. And here I am. You know, you hear those stories all the time of like, put a house on my vision board. And 10 years later, I was unpacking during a move and I found the exact picture of my house that I just bought. And I'd completely forgotten, but it's like the same exact house. And that can happen for anyone. It can happen all the time. And it's really just about tapping in, tuning in, being present, and creating it. So I am so grateful to have had the opportunity to connect with her and be in this beautiful discovery. And I'm just really curious how she ties it all in with how dreaming is not the end. Hello, darling woman.
You will never guess what happened.
Your phone died.
My phone overheated. It got too hot.
Ooh, baby! Conscious Hotline is getting hot in here. So take off all your clothes. I am getting so hot. I'm gonna take my jacket off.
I had to put it in the fridge. I literally put my phone in the fridge.
Oh my God, I love it. Well, I was just kind of commenting on you and what you bring to the world and your greatness and adding more commentary onto the dream state and being. So perfect time to swing back in, because the question I was posing to our tentative listeners is, you know, in terms of the life, death, life cycle and dreaming and allowing things to be born and also allowing things to die. And that flow state.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, yes, you made a biblical reference earlier. Yeah, I don't adhere to any one particular religious faith, but when I say, you know, if I were to worship at any altar, it would be at the altar of death, because it is only at the altar of death do we really appreciate the rich experience that is life. You know, people ask me as a nutritionist all the time, what should I eat, Altaire? And I'm like, you got to feed yourself things that make you feel alive, whether that's the food you're eating or the experiences that you're having, right? Like, yeah, there is a life cycle, and it is only with the concept of death that we come to appreciate the rich, full experience of being conscious and alive. In the Carlos Castaneda books, the witches, the brujas, had a tradition of burying themselves under the earth for several days. And what happens in that experience is that you don't die. You create a ceremony around a fake death, a performance death. But what does happen is that the ego construct of the mind starts to fall away. And what happens when we start to lose and push to the side these programs and these thoughts and these limiting beliefs that we were discussing earlier, which we were taught at some point, and the ego latched onto them and replays that program over and over in our consciousness. When we allow that aspect of who we are to die, and not die in the sense that we want to kill it off. The ego is incredibly important. We all want to keep our ego, but it's about knowing when that ego can take a step back and the I self can answer the door, and the I self, who we truly are, above and beyond what the ego tells us and asks us to believe about ourselves, is limitless, infinite, source creation, experiencing itself in the human vessel of the human consciousness. And it's that state of awareness that allows us to really embrace the dream. Because yes, some things have to die and fall away. Sometimes aspects of ourselves have to die and fall away. Sometimes we need to be present with the death of a loved one to come into what it really means to us to embrace life. You know, I know that from personal experience with my older brother passing away unexpectedly of a heart attack at 35. But the most beautiful thing that you can ever know about death is that it is the ultimate illusion. It is the quintessential magic trick that we come to see it in our lives and our lifetimes, and that's because death truly is an illusion. So on the other side of that transition, our soul essence, that I self that can dream the limitless dream, continues to dream, continues to grow, continues to evolve. As a professional past life soul regression therapist, I've seen this with over 40 different clients. As soon as we reach the death scene in their experience, they pop out of their body and are immediately subsumed back into the all of creation. And that we embark on our next grand adventure. So death is not the end. In fact, death is simply on the polarity scale of life and allows us to appreciate this human experience with so much more profundity and depth.
Yeah. And I love what you said about sometimes the death is part of the birth, right? In the past life, they reach the death and then they enter into divine oneness, source, universal Gaia, whatever you want to call it, right? And then they can birth whatever's supposed to come. And I love that because I think sometimes, like you said, parts of the self do definitely have to die to make way for creation. I mean, even thinking about, you know, animals, they shed their skin, right? Snakes, they shed their skin completely and build a new skin. And that's, I think, part of the process of the work that you do in past life regression therapy and the work that we do as coaches. It's like what needs to die and what can be born. So
100%.
If you could wave a magic, go ahead.
I was just going to say, even Persephone, the goddess of springtime and the harvest, she has to spend several months of the year in the underworld. And that relationship with death that allows fertility to emerge once again.
I love that. Absolutely. And we all have a little Persephone in us. We've got all the calling in all the goddesses. So if you could wave a magic wand and awaken the world, what would you do?
Ooh. Now, this is a powerful question because if I start dreaming about this, you have to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
So, you know, what I would wish for in terms of waving a magic wand for this precious planet, it would be to know that whatever has happened to any person in their past, that is the least important thing. What the important thing is to recognize that we each have the power every single day, every moment, every present moment, we have the power and the choice to choose again, to choose bigger, to choose better, to choose more.
Yes. I'm getting awake. I'm like, you're waking me up. Yeah.
I got goosebumps when I was saying that, so I hope a couple of other people did too.
Yeah. Amen. And that is creation, right? Like you're speaking it into reality. You know, spelling has the word spell in it because we're casting spells with our words. And so, you know, may that come to be, and may you continue to share that wisdom and share that insight and that knowledge. And, you know, thank you for calling into the Conscious Hotline today. It was a joy to talk with you as always.
It was a pleasure. I can't believe this is our this is our origin story episode. So,
and we covered it. We covered a lot. Yeah. Well, I love you. Thank you. May all beings be blessed. May all beings be safe and happy and healthy. We love you. Thank you for tuning in to the Conscious Hotline, and we will talk to you soon.